Hi everybody, this is Brazy. Welcome to a Speak Your Truth video blog. Taxis are now going to have microphones in it. That's right, microphones, probably a bit smaller than this one, and of course hidden away so that you can't see them, and they're going to monitor every single thing you say. Now I know what it's like. You get in a cab and it's sort of like, oh, how's your night been? Has it been real busy, mate? That kind of thing. And it's really interesting conversation. But every single thing that we say is now going to be monitored and of course kept by the cab companies. Oh yeah, they're really trustworthy. And for about 72 hours, they say. That's right, kept on the Gold Coast, and it's all for our own protection. Can you believe it? Now, I know what you're thinking. What a great idea, because as they are saying on the Gold Coast, and let me just show you the article, let me put it up right now. So there you have it. It's because the microphone, that's right, this microphone here, it's going to stop people getting raped. That's right, it's a new thing. Taxi drivers are raping people. And of course, people, believe it or not, aren't paying fares. People aren't paying fares, and people are in fact getting bashed, whether it's the taxi driver bashing them, or in fact it's the taxi driver getting bashed. But either way, guess what the solution is? No, it's not to arm the taxi driver, give them a taser, or teach them self-defense. The solution is to give them a microphone and to make sure that everybody gets one of these. We're going to get the Australian Army when they go and invade the next unsuspecting country, and instead of giving them a rifle, we're going to give them one of these, because these are so deadly. So the next time that a girl gets raped, or the next time someone evades a fare, or the next time someone gets bashed, we're going to have one of these listening, because these are such deadly devices. Trust me, I work with them all the time, and it's not a very serious solution. And in fact, it goes all the way back to the Beijing Olympics, where the whole world was outraged by it. Have a look at this article in the Wall Street Journal. Check this out. So in the Wall Street Journal, they came out saying those evil commie bastards over there in China, or I'm not even sure if we really want to go over there. In fact, the White House, the State Department came out and gave a warning suggesting, look, we can't guarantee that if you get in a taxi over there, or even if you stand near a lamppost, that you're not going to get spied on. There's going to be microphones everywhere, because those Chinese, those communists, are evil spying people. They're listening out to everything. And of course, the Chinese came back saying, look, we can't guarantee, we're not doing it, but we are going to have microphones in there. And it was all on the guise of trying to stop activists. And of course, it was all on the guise that they were trying to stop terrorism, because they have the police state over there. Whereas over here in Australia, well, we don't really have any activism, because we're really lazy. That's right, we're really lazy. We don't get upset about anything, even when our politicians just lie straight out to us. We don't really get upset. And even when it turns out that while the Wall Street Journal was complaining about the communists in China, they had the NSA spying on the Chinese. That's how this becomes such a funny, laughing matter. But the reality is, we don't have the terrorist threat. So instead of using terrorism as a guise, and instead of using activism as a guise, they decide in Australia, and when I say they, of course, I'm speaking about our government officials, they come up with this new idea in the Nanny State, because that's what we call it here, another way of trying to create over-governance. And believe me, I am sick of over-governance. They come up with this idea that it's going to stop people getting raped. They're going to stop people being attacked late at night, or it's going to stop people not being able to take money out of their wallet and pay a taxi driver. Now, if this isn't the stupidest idea I've ever heard, or poor excuse for the fact that they just want to be able to spy on people. Now, I spoke to a taxi driver today. I said to him, mate, I'm not really happy about this idea that I've got to get into a taxi and you're going to start monitoring everything I say. You know what he said to me? He said, I used to be a beacon of communication. I used to drop all sorts of people in all sorts of levels of jobs, and they used to tell me all sorts of things that they wouldn't be telling people while they're in a cab. It was a way of venting to the taxi driver, and I totally understand that. He said now with microphones in here and people know about it, they're not going to tell us what they used to tell us, and we used to pass on the information. So it was almost like a grapevine, the taxi driver. It was a wonderful part of our community, and I think that part is going to die. And maybe, in fact, that is what the social engineers want to get rid of, and I think that will be a really, really sad part to lose of our society, because let's face it, taxi drivers get paid on average, if you work out the hours they work, about $9 an hour. And as bad as that is, now to have people sitting in taxis too afraid to say anything, I think it's just going to take away part of our culture as Australians, because we love to have a chat and we love to express our opinions, and we love to say it outright, especially after a few beers. And now you're going to be a little bit nervous about that. The other thing is, what's to actually stop certain spooks or certain trained people, like they do at teachers at certain high schools or schools, asking children about what their parents get up to, or at parent-teacher interviews, there are certain questions about their lifestyles to try and find out what parents are up to try and find out if there's, everything at home is kosher. What's to stop them putting people in taxis, posing as taxi drivers, or getting taxi drivers to start asking people after a few drinks, certain questions to stimulate their belief systems, or if they've got anybody who's a little bit anti-government. Do you see what we're starting to get here? We're starting to extract data. This is where all of this sort of thing is heading, and I think it's quite a dangerous situation. And I don't mean to blow this out of proportion. The reality is, I guess I'm just like the guy in Lion King. I just want, and people, the taxi driver said to me, he said straight out, he said, "Why, have you got something to hide?" And I hate that comment. I hate it when they say, "Have you got something to hide?" Because it really irks me. I'm like, you are such a little boy when you say, "Have you got something to hide?" Go back and crawl under the bed that you came from, because your mummy will be along soon. Why don't you stand up and be a man and show some soul and show some heart, and realize that I want to be like the lion in the Lion King. I want to run around the savannah. I just want to live a free life. That's what I want to be. I want to stand up and I want to be a man. I just don't want to be living with a mortgage, like in a zoo, with people spying on me and listening to every single thing I do. This mortgage I'm never going to pay off with fantasy money, with all of these interest rates that it makes it impossible. So I am literally living in a cage, with Kimmy's dad telling me I need all this security bonding around the outside because I've got to be fearful because I'm watching ACA, a current affair, telling me you can't go outside because everything's fully freaky and scary. All my kids have got to have these vaccines which are carcinogenic. I can't even drink Pepsi these days without that having a carcinogen in it. So even the food I'm having inside the cage with the mortgage and the mesh on the outside, and I can't get outside because I'm too scared. And then you've got all the GMOs I've got to eat, and now Steggles is telling me that I'm eating free-range chicken when in fact it ain't free-range at all, and who knows what's going into their food. Now, this is the situation I don't want to live in. I don't want to be the lion who's living in the zoo, being spied on and living in that life. It's a full-time job almost, just to try and live a healthy life in this kind of jungle that we're living in. And now that they want to start putting things in taxis, well, you know what? This is the last straw in this nanny state. I've had a gutful. I want to get out there and just be able to live my free life and be able to do it. I'm sick of the over-governance. This is brazy. This is just my opinion, and I wish people would join me.